Feeling trapped by all the stuff? Can't keep up? No time to think or plan? Has the rush and gush of modern life got you trapped?
Slow is the new fast. Slow is the new fast.
Slow is the new fast.
Set your coordinates. It's Mach 0, making time for life, one thing at a time, with your host, the VIP coach, John Davidson.
Thank you for listening. This is John Davidson, the VIP coach, and coming to you here on the Mach 0 podcast, making time for life, one thing at a time. Thank you so much for listening to our show. You are an entrepreneur, you're an aspiring leader, and you're looking for growth, you're looking for lifestyle, you're looking for freedom. You own a business or you're driving a very capable team. But the reason why you're here is that you're always interested in making improvements. You are committed to lifetime growth, and you're not willing to settle for second best or play second fiddle. You always want to continue driving, growing, improving, and learning. And that makes life really worth living. That part of living fully is being able to learn something new. And so we're here to help entrepreneurs and leaders become more creatively free, become more valuable in the world, really be more of themselves, and become the most useful human beings on earth with a great sense of direction and purpose. The kind of purpose that is very much in service to the clients and the marketplace in which they serve. I love market leadership. There is no reason you shouldn't be ultra successful at what you're doing. And so today on the Mach 0 show, I'd like to talk to you more about the relationship between purpose, passion, and profits. Purpose, passion, and profits. You probably know that I've been coaching entrepreneurs and leaders for the last 18 years. I just finished my 24,000th coaching session since 1998 with over 750 entrepreneurs and organizations behind me. I'm doing some really great work. And the reason why I created this podcast, this Making Time for Life, one thing at a time, is because there's so many things happening in our lives. There's so much to pay attention to. Our C word, our complexity, has gotten so high that our attention is being assaulted by way too much information. And what does it do? Well, it takes us away from the simple things that we need to be focusing on. And so we all at some level have a certain aspiration, or we have a dream, we have a calling, we have underlying motivations that lie deep inside of us, where life has presented us opportunities to move into these things. But we just can't. There's too many other things that are sabotaging, ambushing, outlawing, neutralizing, obstructing our ability to navigate our lives and really contribute at the highest levels to the dreams and the kind of aspirations that we really want. What I think we're all really hungry for at some level is to get energy from making a true difference and to organize our lives around what we really, really, really care about. I mean, if I talk to 100 entrepreneurs just like you, it's not about the money. Yeah, the money's really important. If we didn't have the money, we couldn't pay for all the dreams and aspirations that we really want. But the reason why you have made a lifestyle choice to be an entrepreneur, go out in the marketplace and create value for people, be 100% responsible for your own security. The reason why you have made choices like that, to be the predominant creative force in your life, the reason why you have is that you're not willing to settle. You want freedom. Freedom to what? Freedom to create, freedom to dream, freedom to express all of your gifts, freedom to use your talents, freedom to see greatness in others and get them to apply their gifts to the greatest aspirations and dreams they have, to maybe a collective dream, maybe an organization that you co-create together. But what you seem to find through your leadership, by following ideas that you really care about, is that you're just a better person doing that. That the quality of action that you bring to the world, when you follow the things that you care about, you're more present to what you're currently doing. You're able to really help bring people into an accelerated level of growth and evolution through the process of creating. But let's face it. I mean, a lot of us, we're out there and we're doing what we're doing. We're selling, we're doing business, we're building these enterprises. And a lot of us aren't really connected to what makes us feel alive in doing that. Yeah, you choose a future. You don't predict a future. You create one. But you learn to live. You learn to live fully. And what I find often with the entrepreneur is that they fall asleep at learning how to live, and they focus so much on getting everything done. Does this sound familiar to you? You probably find yourself at times, you pull back and say, oh my gosh, I'm kind of a hopeless doer. I've got so many things on my to-do list. If I just pulled back for a second and I really take an honest look at what I'm really doing, is all of this really, really something I really care about? Now, some might say, but JD, it's a business, right? I mean, we can make great businesses. Businesses need to come into the world. They solve problems for people. And businesses can be very helpful. Does it really matter if you really care about them? I don't know. I guess there's lots of businesses out there where I guess the leader doesn't really care. But I'm just saying what becomes possible when you do care. When you have some sort of contemplative practice that's at the very center of your business. When you really think about what matters, what is it that really becomes possible? Well, if I know most organizations today, what the employee, what the person inside it is really looking for is to be more of themselves. That's right. When we're more of ourselves, what does that really mean? When we're more of ourselves, when we're authentic? Well, I think it means that we're able to express what's really in our hearts. It's okay to talk about personal things like what really matters to us and feel safe to talk about that. I mean, who wants to go into an environment where we have to wear 7 masks, pretend like we know what we're doing? We have to present ourselves. We have to follow the code. We have to be in a code of conduct. Where's our voice in all of that? Where are we in all that? And is that a self-centered idea? It's really not, because at the very base of who we are, I think we're all very, very generous at heart. But what's happened in the economic fabric of our organization today is that we assume that everybody is self-interested. And so we play it out that way. That's what we do. We operate underneath the governing principle that if everyone is self-interested, then I got to be self-interested. So rather than co-create a vision, it's more about what I really want out of this. Well, what's really in it for me? I think I deserve some things out of this organization. Man, I'm going to put a lot of work into this organization. I really deserve rewards and benefits. And you owe me something for that. If you tell me to be a performer, I think I'm owed something for that. I have an entitlement attitude. Does that really create great work? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of entitlement attitudes out there. I wish there wasn't. But are we really inclined to create great work? Are we bringing out our greatest horsepower? Are we really coming to the surface with the finest quality of expression that we can be at every moment? That's what leadership really is we get continuous access to the finest quality of expression we can be at every moment. But wait a minute, JD, if I look at the things I'm doing, gosh, a lot of the things I'm doing during the day don't really bring me close to the finest quality of expression that I can be at every moment. So there's soul loss. That's right. What we really lack is the level of involvement that gives us access to our truest sense of happiness. That when we're really involved in things, I think we're really at our highest quality of expression because it brings us into joy. It brings us into a true sense of involvement. And that involvement, I think, is what we're all really thirsty for. And I heard it once said that when a client said, JD, I was doing all that executive work, working a 40-hour week, and I was absolutely exhausted. And when I started connecting with what I really wanted to create and the kind of organizational causes that I wanted to be into, I worked that 40-hour week, but I wasn't tired for 1 minute. So it's not about how much time we spend. It's about the way we use the time that we have. And we can choose to create things that matter to us or not. It's an option that we have. We can orient ourselves in the creative, or we can orient ourselves into kind of reacting and responding to whatever life presents us. And it will. Because the universe is kind of a wild card. Have you noticed that? Life just kind of parachutes stuff in that we don't expect. People come and go in our lives. There's tragedies, there's ups, there's downs. I mean, truly, nothing is permanent. That we have no idea what's coming tomorrow. I don't know if the San Andreas Fault is going to make an earthquake tomorrow and that LA is going to fall into the ocean. I don't know. Is it likely? Probably not. Can I play my life on likelihood? No. I maybe think I can. I pretend I can. But I think there's something to say about just verifying what's real for what's really real right now. And what's really real for us right now is we have this workplace that we have. And in the workplace, we have these feelings. And we're human beings. And yet we have all these rules that apply like, oh, don't bring the drama to work. Yeah, that's like saying, show up as a machine tomorrow and try to show me that you're happy. Suck it up. That doesn't create great work. We're human beings. We're incomplete. We have feelings. We have emotions. We have rises in our emotional tides, and we have lows. We raise children. We create careers. We have ups, and we have downs. I love that core value. Bring a positive attitude. You've got to be positive. That's like saying, please bring fakery to work. Please shut off your human being qualities. Please step into a mask. Please don't reveal yourself to us. Please just be somebody that you're not. Is that really what a workplace is about? Is that a place where I'm going to spend more time than I do in my own marriage or with my family? Do I want to be hanging out in a habitat that's just like that, where it's all controlled and it's complying with all those rules and regulatory practices, where I have to put a mask on? No. That's not what creates great work. What creates great work is connecting people to a greater part of themselves, where the workplace becomes an area of great development and self-expression. But JD, I got to be a profitable enterprise. What am I going to do? How do I get people to care about the profits? Answer: they don't care about the profits. You do. Well, wait a minute. Does that mean that profits aren't important? Absolutely, they're important. They're the oxygen that supplies your ability to maintain your direction and your purpose. That's the oxygen. Of course, you should make an obscene amount of profit for that reason. If you didn't have a profitable enterprise, you would be in fear all the time. You'd be just getting by. You wouldn't be able to focus on the big idea. You wouldn't be able to do the real noble work. So what do? You check out what's governing the organization. What do you mean, what's governing the organization? Well, what are the ideas that are really driving it? I heard just this most recent week, I heard someone tell me that the organization really had no vision. So I said, well, what is driving it? And he said, well, it's just operating by default. It's just there. Gosh, how much loss, how much opportunity is lost because of that when we're not really behind something that we collectively and individually care about. That's the bottom line. You know who's going to beat you? You know who's going to compete with you and eliminate you and blow you off the earth? The kind of business street fighter that's going to kick you to the curb? You know who that is? An organization that really cares about something. You know when the organization really cares about something, you walk in the door, you can sense it, it's a vibe. You go, oh, what's going on around here? You look at it in the production. People really care about something around here at its very basic levels. People either truly want what this organization is intending to do or not. It's a choice that people make. Your job as the leader isn't to make them do it. Your job as the leader is to treat them like adults and to make an invitation that they can't refuse. You don't sell them a vision. You don't tell them a vision, although a lot of people do. We stand up at our annual awards meeting and say, here's our vision. And then the people in the audience kind of look at each other and go, I don't know, Jan, did you come up with that vision? Where did that vision come from? That doesn't sound like our vision. That sounds like his vision. So there's like a subtle resentment in that, wow, there's someone else telling us what our vision is. That's kind of the hostile takeover that a lot of our leaders do today, is that the business is not about helping us connect with what we really want, and it's not about connecting with a sense of purpose that we want to put our mastery towards. It's not about our intrinsic desires toward a common aim. It's about something else. It's about operations. It's about profits. It's about efficiency. It's about what we're measuring. It's about meeting a role description. Oh, yes, we got to get this thing under control. We're more managers 90% of the time than leaders. So what does it mean if I step into leadership 90% of the time? I change the questions I'm asking. I courageously ask and tap into what people absolutely care about and they want to contribute to. And that starts with the question, what do we want to create? What do we want to create? You hear that question? It doesn't imply the past is going to put its fingerprint on the future, although it may, but it doesn't require that the past is the place from which we're going to create. It's a transcending question. It's built into the framework of the question. What do we want to create? Really, the question is, what do we love enough to bring into being? Because creating starts with love. The way that we go out in the marketplace and be extraordinary, the way that we go out and delight people and produce amazing client experiences isn't by focusing on the money that we make. It's about creating the level of value that's possible. And value creation comes from contemplation and reflection. How do we want our customer to be looking at our total experience? How do we want the competition to see us? What kind of community are we going to be touching by what we do? How do we want to handle good times and bad times? What kind of organization do we want to look like that would make me totally thrilled to drive into work? What do I want to be saying on my lips after a day of feeling like it was an accomplished day? How would we know that we are totally successful? How do I want to be depended on here for the work that I'm doing? How would the meetings be run that we're doing? You hear all that? Those are choices. Those aren't obligations. Those are optional. It's not obligatory motivation like, well, you do this, you do that, and I'll give you orders and you follow it. That's not it. That's a command and compliance organization. That's old news. The organizations of today that are really running at the highest levels, they have choice built right into the fabric of how they organize change. And the way that they look at change is that there are changes all the time. They see reflection as the only antidote to changing their history and being an agile company that is able to adapt with those changes and incorporate those disruptive changes as opportunities to lead from a future that is emerging, climbing right out of the moment. What are we talking about in the boardroom? What are we talking about in the management meeting? Are we talking about the outcomes that we really want to create? Or are we talking about the demolition stuff, the problems that we want to eliminate? Are we talking about how the way is that we want to make a difference is going to look? And yet letting that be the backdrop from which we look at our action plans and look at what we're actually motivated to do in the here and now, where we're composing a mission that helps us actually in a line of sight bridge to build the bridge to get there. We don't have noble guiding ideas in our organizations today, folks. They're not noble enough. What's really driving our organization at the very ethos, at the character level of our organization, isn't noble. But you can start that. What do I really want to create? What do I want to create? What do we want to create? And then the question becomes, how can we serve? How can we serve? How can we serve the whole? How can we serve the ecosystem? How can we serve the earth? How can we serve our fellow men? How can we serve? What is needed of us? What is standing in need of us? So it moves from the inner intention of what we want to bring out to what is outside that tells us what we need to be doing. What's the call to action? So we combine our creative sourcing, our design of our business is coming into being by what we reflect on that matters, as well as looking out in the marketplace, looking through the eyes of the others that we serve and asking, what is their biggest challenge? How can we solve it? What is the opportunity they need us to get to? What is the strength that they find exciting that they want to reinforce? Yes, we transform their ability to create the things they want by way of creating a path, creating resources, creating capabilities to help our audience become bigger, better, faster, stronger. We value add to them by listening carefully. You like this so far? I'll bet you do. Because you know I'm talking to a part of you that you already know. You already know this. In fact, you know a lot more than you could ever say. I'm going to take a break. Enjoy the commercials. I'll be right back. This is JD, the VIP coach. You're listening to the Mach Zero podcast, making time for life, one thing at a time.
Having a life where you have the creative freedom to do what you love and to offer the world something that only you can bring to the table. That is the world of high-level performance with John Davidson. That is the world of radical creativity. That is the world that you can be a part of when you realize all that is holding you back is you. Begin the journey through one-on-one coaching that gives you the finesse for business and lifetime achievement, and find your place on the roadmap to high-level performance today. Visit highlevelperformance.com. Grow your business and grow as a human being with these captivating books authored by the VIP coach himself. John Davidson. The Day I Built My Barbecue is about creative freedom. Learn how you can not only live well, but also grow a thriving business at the same time. John shows you his step-by-step technique with the principles, strategies, and steps to move from a business operator to a business owner. The day you build your barbecue is the day we all wish for. Totally free of distractions, totally available to living well, fully present. Then don't miss Unstoppable You. It's about creative value. When we do what we love and love what we do, we discover ways to make our business more fun and monetize our passions. Through stories, tools, and steps, this book will help you bring something to the world that no one else can and bridge your most unique talents to the deepest aspirations you have of the future. And stand in the presence of all you are. It's about creative purpose. What does it mean to live on purpose? How do we work with the mystery that life presents us at every moment? In this book, John shows us through the silent spaces in life how to connect with our innermost sacred projects and passages. You'll learn how to bring the work, language, and presence of the soul into everything you do. Visit highlevelperformance.com to pick up any of these books in paperback or Kindle editions today. That's highlevelperformance.com.
From go time to slow time. Slow is the new fast. Mach Zero, making time for life one thing at a time. With VIP coach John Davidson.
Okay, this is JD. You're listening to the Mach Zero podcast, making time for life one thing at a time. We're talking about purpose, profits, and planet. And so far, what we've discussed is that, look, the profits in the organization are an absolutely guilt-free component. You have to be the economist. The economist is one of your inevitable roles in the organization, is to be able to bring what you do to market on budget, be able to do it so it's profitable, so that you retain margins to be able to hit your other bottom lines. Your other bottom line is service, is purpose. What am I really in service to? What do I really want to create? I want to go out in this marketplace. I want to create a difference. I want to do what matters to me. I have the courage to do it, but I also have a compassionate heart, individually, collectively, to listen to the current moment that we find our clients in and be able to see the world through their eyes in the form of their current dangers, what they're worried about losing the most. What are we going to do as an organization to eliminate that, remove that from their existence? What are we going to do to position their best opportunities? And what are we going to do to reinforce the strengths, the parts of their current moment that they are excited about that we can bolster or make better? We're paid for the value we deliver. In fact, we only expect opportunity by being valuable to someone else. There are no entitlements in the game. But what about this other piece? Yeah, it's about purpose, but then it's also about planet. It's about world. It's about self, other, and world. Those are the three sources from which you govern and design the directionality of your organization. Is you build a sensitivity in all three of those so that you have the creative intelligence to build an intention and to stay true to it with toughness and rigor and being ruthless and diligent. But you also have the emotional intelligence of empathic ability to listen to the other and to hear them in their current space. And through that, be touched by that and moved by that, such that the leadership on all levels is moved by that understanding. And then you kind of open your eyes and you take a wider look at everything. It's kind of like seeing it from a bigger vantage point. And everything around you, the entire community, has one voice, one singular buckshot thematic voice that seats you in your place to take in the ecosystem of things. As a citizen of the world, as one who is truly in service and connected to and having reclaimed the wholeness that is fabricated within the parts. The bigger question is, what's really standing in need of us? What is the destiny that truly stands in need of us? It's beyond service. It's a deeper sense of knowing place and where we can direct our power, where we can direct our ability, where we can direct our goodies, the stuff we have to give, our assets. It's something that is more aesthetic, that is a felt sense. It's beyond an intuitive sense of what we need to do into a larger body of information and energy that flows in pattern in informative ways. I know you know what I'm talking about because it's something that very deeply that's seated in your soul that you know. And you know that this organization that you have is a vehicle, a channel, that is a resource that is going to position you to do this. And we're thinking this may be the biggest of all the pictures that you reflect on together, beyond what you want to create. It is to be almost in a sense chosen, selected, in knowing you cannot not do something. It's the most sacred project that rests inside every organization, and it is pregnant. And this sense is really given sort of, it's netted by just the fabric of the conversations that you talk about. It's in the dialogues. It's in reflecting together where you sense that something is also animating itself and presenting itself just through the fabric of the conversation. I call it conversation animation. And it is a living, breathing frontier that is living within a conversation with reality itself that is animated, it is moving, it is mutating, it is changing, it is never solid, it is never given its final form, its final definition. It is an ongoing open source of generative listening. And you know what it's like? I'll give you an example when I've seen it, when I've witnessed it, and you probably have too, is through music. When you see a jazz ensemble play, and you find them playing in such a way where there is such a trust that the music that is on its way to the band, the next notes, aren't composed by individual movement, that there truly is another entity that joins in that is collectively creating and improvising the next component, the next creation, the next movement that sort of plays out from that. And it's an overall, it's a sense of coherence and connectedness that kind of gives rise to itself, that you presence it, you are present to it, but it also presences itself. And maybe it is the process of becoming sort of collectively conscious. Maybe it is something more somatic that is not in the brain, it's not dealt from, or in the origins of the brain, and maybe it's not even in the heart. Maybe it is something far deeper in the terms of a field of genesis that is organized in very almost subtle ways, where there are patterns of order, patterns of creative order from which we tap in. And I think sports teams have also felt this sense of coherence, where there's a spooky kind of silent part of the game that is embedded in sort of the play, and it's implicit in the play, but it is hard to put one's finger on it. It is an active principle, a living active principle that is in it, that you witness just through the process of surrender and letting go and just simply jumping in and having an all immersive trust in something having a larger order of things, where you're occupying more of a larger whole and the parts are informed by it. I don't know how we could use language to help this, but maybe the way into it is starting with language to get to it, where we can describe our experiences together. And I remember a great example I heard once of the indigenous people, or maybe the Indians, that the way that they would enter this, the way that they would encounter this space, is by naming things, events that would come into reality. That their commitment to the truth was so high in directly experiencing what was going on, that as they would sit around the fire and they would talk about their direct experiences, that they would almost bring certain realities into the world just by naming them. and that by naming them, of making them conscious from invisible to visible, it had a certain creative process of being a channel for the emerging properties of information that were waiting to become matter in form. And maybe in some way, forgive me for being a little technical or complex here, maybe what we're referring to is the way that matter, mind, and information do coalesce. Maybe it does coagulate. And that how we enter that emergent information is by suspending what we think we know. And by suspending what we think we know and opening up our don't know mind, which is looking at things from curiosity and a vantage point of wonder, we open ourselves to emerging possibilities that have not yet been given rise. We open a runway for something new to come and land and then take off. And it is this, I don't know if it's state of mind, but it is a dynamic process of kind of losing oneself and finding oneself from individual to whole, or I to we. And so where do we find purpose, process, and planet kind of fitting together? Well, we find it in the very moment of telling it as it is and sensing in the deepest part of ourselves what is ready to emerge. And then as we continue to follow that and step into it with courage, which means core in French, which means from the heart, we begin to sense it sort of crystallizing and presencing itself as if something was ready to be given life from what we just brought out of nowhere. So it moves from invisible or nowhere into something. It moves from nothing into something. And this quality of sort of midwifing it, giving birth to something that's ready to come, is an area of trusting that is just beyond what we know. And it's moving from something very unknown. It's a plan that emerges from the mystery as we walk into it, where action produces such clarity that teams and human beings, when they are brought together, can learn by suspending their thoughts and holding an open-hearted presence and having an openness to the grander will, a divine will, where divine guidance may be able to become true. And I think this is where spirituality and commerce can coexist, where we can move in the direction of wisdom and goodness and follow it where it's wanting to go, and give ourselves into the invitation of that with courage and compassion and connection, such that we occupy a finer urge, a loving urge that is born from the love that we are. And at the very base of it, maybe it is moving into a real sense of deep loving presence in the very grounds of our being that we can only tap into by being together, not apart. That the bonding helps us see who we are. And the patterns of interaction between us help give rise to seeing the true properties of ourselves. It's really quite beautiful when we look at the possibilities of that trust. Now, as you're hearing this, some of you might say, well, JD, boy, that's really airy-fairy stuff. That's really touchy-feely. I don't know. We're just business people here. Yeah, but you know what? You're not. And if you say that, that's what you've been doing to protect yourself from how vulnerable this feels. This is messy. This is raw. But this is also real. And my thought is if you leave this out, you're missing it then. Then all you're really doing is hiding from something that's so unfamiliar to you that you truly are unable to admit how afraid you really are of the unknown. And yet, if you realize in the honesty of this just how powerless you really are, then what it involves is truly a chance to step aside from your own limits and be able to give yourself to this without having to figure it out, without having to predict something, but to trust this by just showing up and being present. And showing up and being present is to devote your best attention, your full attention, your wise attention, your relaxed attention to what is going on without meaning and interpretation. But that's what it really is. And I invite you to do that. I invite you to do that for your own sake, for the sake of the world, for the sake of the people that you work with. To be able to let them see you is an amazing thing. The word intimacy means into me see, which means to see into oneself, to see into me, and for me to see into you. I can't describe to you or guarantee the possibilities that might emerge from this place. But I think if you take a bold step into a reflection, a willingness to reflect, and to speak the truth of who you are, and to speak the truth of what really is happening here, you will find a level of connection and a willingness and a will to learn and a will to try things that wouldn't before happen. And this is where innovation sits. It's where faith meets innovation. You have to move it to the edge. You have to meet the edge of that and bring what it is that's waiting there into yourself. And let that move you at the deepest levels, that brings you into feeling alive, to living fully as you choose an intention that you want to create. This is where your attention and your intention cohabitate. And this is an eclipse where both of them, as they are lined up, is like it's like a vibration coming out of the same place, where you're able to live in this, but at the same time, and register what's going on as part of the creative process, but also follow an intention as it is connecting both. That what you attend and intend are deeply connected. And that's where you find it. That what we give attention to, we place our intention in the center of our awareness, and we attend. And as we attend, we sense what the intention is of us, and we are giving ourselves to it. And when you place yourself there, you will find all sorts of miraculous moments. You will find something that you had never seen before. Unforeseen forces start to come to your aid in miraculous ways. So I hope something in this has touched you. I hope that what we have done here is I think this idea that I'm trying to language, as tough as it is to bring it through language, is something that is aware of you. It is something that is ready to become itself through you. And it's something that your will and your willingness must come together to help it find you and to be chosen by it. Like Jerry Garcia says, the song plays the band. What is it to be played? What is it to be empty and to be filled? What is it to be occupying an openness like this, an open-hearted bravery into whatever you're doing? To lean into the mystery and walk it with practical feet. Yeah, I think that's it. And so I challenge you. I challenge you to take the step of what do we want to create? How do we serve? And what is it that wants to emerge? What do I want to create? How can I serve? And what do I hear? What is ready to emerge? The three most powerful questions to direct your actions from. To source the deepest soundings of your being into a higher quality of leadership and action than ever before. It's an access point. If you'd like more information about our coaching program and implementing some of these concepts and strategies, come online at highlevelperformance.com and take a look at our different coaching programs and our methodologies and our curriculum. We provide great coaching one-on-one for individuals, for groups and key leaders. We develop organizations and provide a sense of community to tap into the very, very best that you can bring to the world. My name is JD. You've been listening to the Mach Zero podcast, making time for life, one thing at a time.
For more tools, go to highlevelperformance.com. Better business, better life. Fast growth, keeping things simple. Or visit us on Facebook, Mach Zero, making time for life, one thing at a time. Set boundaries, focus your attention, and maintain a positive state of mind. Hire a VIP coach to help you. Call 714-912-9261.